Now moving ahead, I'd like to tell you guys that we are doing this event in association with School of Management Sciences, Lucknow, that is SMS Lucknow. And moving ahead with our next speaker, Mr. Agyat Suri. He is an alumnus of Gothenburg University in Sweden and is proficient with his entrepreneurial skills. He has used his business and technological expertise in developing a number of projects successfully. So he will be sharing some insights, some useful insights about innovation. Basically, innovation, according to World Bank, is the idea which can be seamlessly disseminated into society. हम लोगों की बहुत सारी research lab में ही रह जाती है, and it takes a lot of efforts to bring those to land. So that's what Agyat sir is proficient in, and we'll have Agyat sir. Agyat sir, are you here? Let me unmute you.
Yeah, hi.
Hi. So I'll hand over to you now and stop sharing my screen. You can go on with your presentation.
Okay. Okay. Very good morning, everybody. And thank you, SMS and Dino, having me. We have been listening about machine learning and a lot of new technologies. And what Chandra explained to us was different trends that are talk about high-tech technologies, like be it machine learning or from any other domain. Students from management sciences, or the students who do not have technical background, think, what is in it for me? Why am I listening to this machine learning and innovation where I might not be able to do something about it? So as I said, I am trying to take technologies from lab to the market. So the whole process of entrepreneurship and innovation is successful when you take a technology, when you try to understand its trend, and you try to take it out as a product and launch it into the market. So as Edison said, there's way to do it better, find it. And that, I think, makes the foundation of almost every innovative thing. I almost always start by explaining the difference between invention and innovation. Now, as I think that we have a mix of both engineering and management. When it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation, there is something for everybody in it. So when we talk about invention is the process of developing a new technology or capability for its own sake. So invention is something which typically does not serve a specific need. This is something done by researchers. This is something that happens inside the lab. This is kind of uncategorized with the market. It does not necessarily take market needs into a consideration. But on the other hand, innovation is the process of taking these technologies to its fruitful application. So invention somehow is, like Edison, he invented the bulb. But the innovation was to take it out into the market and use it in a lamp. So that is the difference between invention and innovation. And most importantly, the innovation starts by, identifying a problem into the market. So when you talk about all the trends and technologies, those are just few of the tools at your disposal to use to innovate things which you observe in, around yourself. So now today, for example, if we take today's lecture as example of machine learning, reinforced learning, or deep learning, those are the tools that are at your disposal. Now, if you have an engineering background or a computer science background, you can try to reinvent some of the functionalities and try to adapt them for a particular use. But even if you're a management student, you can try to understand those technologies and see their particular use into a problem that you have identified. So if we talk about entrepreneurship, it is basically an idea to a product. Anushya, just remind me if something is, if I'm not audible. Okay.
Okay. Your voice is breaking a bit now, but you were audible until the presentation
Hello.
time. Please go ahead. I'll tell you.
Okay. Okay. Sure. It just says internet connection is a little bit unstable, so that's why I just want to make sure that everything is going. Okay. So to continue, when we talk about entrepreneurship, basically it all starts with an idea. It is taking an idea to its fruitification to a product. Now, most people they come up with idea and they think like they have the best idea and it's just gonna make everything okay. But it's still just idea to product in itself does contain almost any value. An idea, how much ever good it is not good enough unless it is validated and proven to be successful. So there are four basic steps when we talk about in the journey or entrepreneurship journey from idea to product. That is ideation, of course, the most important part. Then we have validation. Then we have MVP, which is minimum viable product, and then the iterate and expand upon it. Now, these four steps, which seems pretty much short, can have further deeper sub steps in them. But let's start with the idea. Idea in itself, it has certain elements that makes an idea suitable for a startup. Then idea, of course, it should be unique. It should solve a problem at level. And because, as I said, that innovation always should identify a problem. So an innovative
Your voice
idea
is
should
breaking a
always
bit.
solve a problem, which you may have. Um, should I stop my screen sharing? You can share it, or is it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You please go ahead. I'll let you know if it breaks. I'll meanwhile get the presentation myself.
Okay. So as we're talking, the elements which makes a good idea, it should be unique. It should solve a problem.
Do you
It
need
should
me
be
to share?
scalable.
Do you need me to share the screen?
I mean, if I can operate it myself, it is better. But if the voice
Because
breaks too much, then
the
okay.
voice
So
is
then
breaking.
you share the screen. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll stop sharing.
Just let me know when I have to change the
Yeah,
slide.
I'll ask you to switch. Yes.
Okay. So, is it good?
Yeah.
Please, sir, go ahead. Sorry to
Can you go?
interrupt.
No worries. Can you go to the next slide? We have done with the idea thing.
Okay.
Okay. So when we talk about the journey from ideation to the product, when we take an idea and we go towards a product, that is the basic foundation of entrepreneurship. You always start with an idea, and as I said earlier, all of these steps has various sub steps, which entrepreneurs should try to learn and kind of incorporate themselves into their handling of of when they think of coming up with a startup. So ideation itself can comprise of design thinking, brainstorming, or NGTs. There are various ways by which you can ideate. There are various ways by which you can try to see the problems around you and find something which makes you do something about it. Entrepreneurship, as we have talked about, it can be tech entrepreneurship, which sees a problem in the technical field and try to find something, a solution to it, which is technical. There are social entrepreneurship where you see an idea which comes out for the social problems and you do something about it. The ideation phase makes you identify an idea which you are comfortable with and which you want to take forward to. And then comes the validation part, which is somehow the most important part when into the entrepreneurship journey. And that comprises of a lot of analysis to structure your idea properly, to see where the finances are, how you can secure it with different IPRs. And this is a point where an entrepreneur should spend most of time with. But what happens uh, in the real life is the entrepreneurs spend a lot of time in the ideation phase to try to come up with an idea, and then in the MVP phase where he is just trying to come up with a product. He has an idea and he's just trying to create something out of it, but very less time is given to the validation part where we try to find out if the idea is good enough or not. Now, I understand that this is not such an easy thing for people who do not have a lot of information about how to go forward with entrepreneurship. So this is a phase where the incubators or the mentors and guides help you to validate your findings. um, if you are from technical background, you know that when you have a hypothesis, you need to validate it till you reach a conclusion. So the incubators, they help you validate your ideas. There are specific analysis like stakeholders, internal, external, competitors, and n number of other analysis which help you identify the loopholes, the shortcoming of your idea, which makes you improve it. So when we move forward to the MVP part, we have an idea which is validated on some serious grounds. The MVP is again, in MVP we have our proof of concept. We try to run a pilot, and we try to find a good team about it. And then further on, we have funding, iteration, and expansion. Now, this Anusha, can you please switch? Okay, so most of the startup journey comes from the previous, when we come with from the previous researches on new product development. For example, the stage gate model of Cooper, which is also when they try to develop a new product from an idea till its launch, it has different stages. And at every stage, we have a gate, that is, we have a go or not go. So we see something, we do not like it, we can always move back and try to improve it. So the iteration that we usually say in entrepreneurship on the fourth stage can be done on every single stage of entrepreneurship or of coming up with an startup. Next slide, please. uh, BAH or Booz Allen Hamilton model, which they gave this model in 1982. It is again the same thing. It is again when they try to find a new product strategy until a commercialization. So when a company wanted to create a new product, until the time the product goes into the commercialization, they again had the same steps which we follow when we want to create a start. So we have idea generation, screening, analysis, design, testing, and commercialization. So be it a BAH model or a Cooper model or IDEO model that we use today, the entrepreneurship is basically the same thing that the big companies have been doing, but we are doing it on our own ourselves. Next slide, please. But what we have been seeing is a very sequential flow of events, but in real life it doesn't happen like that. We make a lot of mistakes, we just go here and there, and it all you know uh, it is basically the life just makes it's entangled, which is actually a term we use in innovation called fuzzy front end. Now, fuzzy front end is basically the time that we spend in trying to come up with ideas, during the validation. And this is a time where we go back and forth, and try to come up with something which is good enough for the market. And all of those things, it takes more than 50% time of an entrepreneur. So the fuzzy front end is something which we should not be afraid of. This is a documented fact that the more time you spend in the initial stages of your startup, the better your startup idea is. more you validate it, more you connect it to the market, more you connect it with your own skills and your skills of your team, better product or better market application you can think of in the later stages of your startup. Next slide, please. So, sorry, Anusha, you have gone like few slides too fast. Yeah, right here. Okay. So when we talk about startups, the of course the most important part of a startup is the idea itself. So unless you have something which is innovative, it is not going to make you unique. So when you try to come up with a startup, it has to be unique. And uniqueness does not mean it has to be, always patent possible. Uniqueness should be something which is unique in your own domain, in your own area, sometimes in your own geographical area is good enough, because startups are not always technically enhanced or technically advanced. I mean, it is good to have a technically advanced startup, but it is also good to have a startup which is good for your own domain. For example, when we talk about India is a very, very big market. And when Zomato was already established player in the food delivery, Swiggy came in. So although Swiggy didn't have something very unique, but still it has a lot of market share, because market cannot be saturated by just one person. But the startup should have an idea which it itself connects with. So the idea is, of course, a major part when it comes to the startup. An idea defines everything for you. And as we said, the idea should be unique, scalable, and feasible. But its uniqueness should not be measured by absolute patentability. The other important elements of startup is the next should be the team. When you try to create a startup, you usually do it with some other people, and that is somehow those are the people with whom you are most comfortable with. And I would like to give an advice here, that usually when people try to start something, they do it with their friends. But rather at that time, you should try to find people who are a good fit for your idea. And now it is very difficult to try to work with somebody with whom you have never worked with. But the people or the founders of your company will basically create the whole future of it. So this is something which defines the startup, the people who are behind it. So when people come to us and they show their ideas, and they come for investments, and they want a lot of funding, we see what are the team operating it. So the team is very, very important, and we see how the team is a good fit to the idea. So if there is an idea about machine learning, we see if there is somebody who actually understands it. Then if there is if the team is only technically strong and they do not have a lot of business strength, again it is not a very balanced team. So the team should have a good balance of people, like for example a graphic designer, a market person, a tech person, and then somehow you have a very good fit. The other element which is very important is the business plan and the model. So you reach to this part after the validation. And now, as we have established, that you have to spend most of the time validating the idea. So once you have a startup idea, you validate it. And once you have done the validation, you have come up with some concrete results, then you create the business plans and models associated with it. There are many ideas which have just the business model innovation in it. So I'll take this thing in Hindi. जब कोई चीज किसी एक तरीके से चल रही हो, बट आप उसको कुछ अलग तरीके से उसमें सुधार ला सको, जिसके अंदर कोई टेक्निकल एडवांसमेंट नहीं है, that also is good, because that defines a business model. And a business model innovation is also something which is very sought after in the business community. So the better your business plan and model is, better your startup success is. Now the third thing is funding. And one thing which I would like to clarify here is that people, when they have an idea, they try to go and get a funding, uh, in the very initial stages of their startups. And I would always suggest, don't do that. Try to invest some of your own funds. Try to go for the schemes of government, or maybe if you really need a lot of fund, go to an angel investor. Because unless your idea has some kind of validation and MVP, or has gone through a pilot stage, a serious venture capitalist will never invest into it. So funding becomes a very crucial element of startup, but you should really know when to go for funding and at what stages, which funding is more accessible than the other. And of course, your incubator or your mentor will guide you in these real major steps of your startups. The fourth very important element is resilience. So we all know that a lot of startups fail. It doesn't matter whichever market you are in, be it US or Europe or India. I have experience in both Europe and India, and more than 50% of startups fail, and the number is up to 90%. But and when you try to do something with your idea, sometimes your idea doesn't work out, sometimes the market is not a good fit, your team is fuzzy. But resilience makes you this value makes you go forward with it. It makes you try to iterate it, improve yourself again and again, and try to find the loopholes, try to understand by your own mistakes, and then you go forward with it, and that actually assures success. There have been entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, who have done something with in their startups, and then they failed. But with the coming startups, they always improved upon, and they create something which is $1 million business today. One other element which I have not mentioned here is timing, which according to certain studies is it is up to 42% that it may no it associates with the success of it. So timing is basically how ready the market is. For example, if we talk about iPhones, when Steve Jobs launched iPhones, it revolutionized the market. It was a product that completely changed the whole paradigm of it. But he was not the first person to introduce the smartphones into the industry. I mean, if you guys remember, it was basically in our time zone that we used to have those Nokia communicator or small handheld portable devices with internet connectivity in it, which enables us to do certain things. And Samsung and Nokia, they were few of the players which introduced these things into the market, but the market was not ready at that time. Of course, I have no doubt in the brilliance of Steve Jobs, but the time when he launched it, the way he launched it, he basically, his timing was very correct, and that also contributed towards the success of the iPhones that we see today. Next slide, please. Okay, so when you here is something that I want to talk about: Platinno startup support. So as I'm a startup enabler at Platinno, and other than Platinno, the other incubators where you want to go with your startups, there are basically three stages which the incubators helps upon. There's ideation stage or idea development phase. Then we have pre-incubation, and then the incubation. Basically, the startups, they want to go into the incubation stage, where they are provided with the mentors, guides, relevant trainings, different kind of analysis which helps them strengthen their idea, validate it, and then take it towards the product development phase. But we also have idea development and pre-incubation as separate phases, because we have seen sometimes the idea itself is not good enough. The as we talked in the as we talked earlier, the idea should have certain features or elements that makes it a good idea, that allows it to go from ideation to incubation. And we have added pre-incubation phase as well, which is for the ideas which are good enough but they are not validated. So we validate them into the pre-incubation stage, and then we take you further with your startup journey. But when we try to judge an idea, there are certain things which we really see, which forms the basis of the selection, and those are: first, innovation; second is team; and third is traction. Of course, there are many other soft points that we look into, but these three are supposedly the most important things that you should look upon when you try to come up with a startup idea. And as I would try to strengthen again, innovation is not invention. So innovation is something where you are solving a problem. Next
Yes.
slide, please.
Uh,
Okay, thank you everybody. And this was supposedly a more interactive session. So please ask me any questions that you have.
yes, everyone can ask. Am I audible? Yeah, I think I am audible.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Everyone can ask your questions in the chat box, or like I explained, in the Platinno website as well. Right now we'll head on to, because we have a time constraint, so we'll head on to our closing note, and then our vote of thanks by Miss Nancy. Before that, I'd like to give you guys an idea about how amazed I am with with all the stuff that Dr. Chandra, Ms. Shruti, and Agyat sir brought us with. So basically, uh, Dr. Chandra told us about the technical aspects, and Shruti ma'am told us about how she has been using these technical aspects for her to find solutions. And Agyat sir told us about how we can uh, actually bring these technology on land. So Platinno is basically there for you, especially for the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, to end the geographical constraint that you guys may face. So that is what we are here for, which Agyat sir have already told you. Now I'd like to call upon Pankaj sir to quickly give us a closing note, and then I'll ask Miss Nancy to give us the vote of thanks, and so we can finally end this session. Pankaj sir, are you there?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay. You can share your screen.
Yeah. Right. Oh, sorry. Okay. So first of all, good afternoon to everyone, my young friends, faculty members, and senior attendees here. Thanks a lot for joining this session. I hope you all enjoyed this session. And I would also like to thanks our eminent speakers, Dr. Chandramouli Shah, Agyat Suri, and wonderful talk by Shruti Shaurya, and helping students in answering their questions by Neeraj Chaudhary. Thanks a lot, you guys. You did well today. Uh, I just want to show something to you guys. Here are some. I have shared some name of companies here. Microsoft, Airbnb, GE, GM, Disney, HP, Netflix, Uber, Pinterest. These all these all companies belongs from different sectors. Their business natures are different, but there is one characteristic that connects all these company. And what is that? These all companies uh, evolved during recession time. If you see Microsoft, Airbnb, this all, whatever I presented is, since list are too long, but yeah, I have just presented some few companies here. This all evolved during a recession time, and we are also during a very difficult situation after COVID-19. So what I'm trying to say that this is the power of entrepreneurship-led innovation. Entrepreneurs are known for changes. Entrepreneurs are known to change the world, and world in a difficult situation desperately need changes. So at this time, after COVID-19, we are suffering from many things: economic crisis, health crisis. We have just stalled at our home. So at this time, this is the best time for entrepreneurs. And you guys, the young generation, are the hope for our country, hope for our society, that you can change the future. You will come with really innovative ideas. So it's your responsibility to think differently. It's your responsibility to do something great, create something great for our society. And yeah, yes, sorry. As Agyat has nicely presented Platinno, about Platinno, how Platinno is supporting startups. So yeah, you can join us. You can come us with your ideas. And Platinno has various features that will help your idea to innovation. It's hassle free, it's a very smooth process. It's one stop solution. We connect you from your classroom level, your lab level. What's happening? I don't know. Okay, and yeah, it's a dynamic team. We have large network, and Platinum is not just an incubator; it's a startup ecosystem. So let's connect with us, with your idea, with your college projects. We will be with you. Lastly, I'd like to say that please connect us at FB, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Quora. We have shared you in the chat box. You like there or subscribe the pages for our free events, workshop programs, startups. There are many various startups coming with us that they require team, so you can be a part of that startup team, and also just to help society for innovation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Pankaj sir is connected and associated with Platinum, and he is the scientific officer in NPCIL. I forgot to introduce him to you guys, so I'm making up for that. Anyway, moving ahead, I'd like to, as Pankaj sir correctly said, I'd like to add something to it. Pankaj sir mentioned that there's a huge potential lying over there about because this presentation, this session was about machine learning. So we can look at it look at it in a way that human brain, the signals in the human brain function with a frequency of 200 hertz, and the current day transistors already operate in the order of gigahertz. And when we talk about the speed of the signals in the biological neurons, it's maximum 300 meter per second. But the signals in computers can traverse at the speed of light. And there's also a size limitation that our brain can fit only in our skulls, and the computers can be as big as a warehouse. So the potential, all that I want to say is that the potential is huge, and it is lying dormant, waiting to be harnessed by you all, by us. Platinum is here to create the ecosystem and help you harness this potential. Lastly, I'd like to call in Miss Nancy for her vote of thanks from SMS College, Lucknow. Uh, I have unmuted Miss Nancy. Can you?
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Please go ahead with your vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks in this webinar. I, Nancy Vash, on the behalf of a School of Management Sciences, Lucknow, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the speakers, Dr. Chandramouli, Shruti Shaurya ma'am, and Mr. Agyat Suri for delivering the important content related to machine learning, deep learning, and innovations today. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for Platinno Incubators for arranging this knowledgeable webinar. I would like to express our sincere thanks to School of Management Sciences Lucknow to collaborate with Platinno for this session. I would really like to thank all the listeners, all the attendees who are giving their valuable time to listen such a great webinar today. I hope you all must have taken some knowledge from this webinar. Well, event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels starts rolling weeks ago. It requires proper planning and coordination of the organizers, team members to work hard and make it possible. Once again, I would like to say we are fortunate to get listen to these speakers. Thank you to all. We thank you for being with us. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy ma'am. It's a pleasure for us to associate with SMS College. Lastly, before I sign off, I'd like to show you around the website of Platinno. Uh, so this is the website of Platinno, and if you have got an idea, you can go to this tab and submit your idea to start ideating and start with the incubation process as soon as we are up. As soon as you have some idea, as soon as you want to go into the business world, we are here with the mentors, Dr. Chandra and the whole team, Mr. Neeraj, Pankaj sir, everyone will be there with us to guide us. So now I'd like to sign off. If anyone has any questions, you can go to the events page and post the questions. We'll attend to it personally. Thanks a lot, everyone. So I'll just check the chat once before signing off if anyone has any questions that has remained unattended. I think we are good. Okay. Signing off, everyone. Bye bye.